Greetings. Vijñāna-bhairava-tantra, verse 63, the penultimate verse of this particular section of the text. We're on Yukti number 35 in my numbering. Sarvaṃ dehaṃ cin-mayaṃ hi jagad paribhāvayet yugapan nirvikalpena manasā paramodayaḥ. One should recognize that one's entire body, or indeed the whole world, consists of nothing but awareness. Through the nonconceptual mind, directly seeing this truth all at once, there comes the supreme dawning of liberation. Okay, let's go through it word by word. One should recognize paribhāvayet. One should thoroughly contemplate. One may thoroughly contemplate, or one should recognize what? That sarvaṃ dehaṃ cin-mayaṃ. One's entire body consists of awareness and nothing but awareness. Jagad, or indeed the entire world, consists of nothing but awareness. Through the non-conceptual mind, nirvikalpena manasā, yugapan, all at once, there is the paramodayaḥ, the supreme dawning. So this is a very beautiful verse, and I'm still refining the translation a little bit. Let's understand together exactly what it means. So, paribhāvayet, one should recognize. Interestingly, this particular verb, paribhu, also means saturate or soak, right? One should thoroughly contemplate, sort of saturate the whole of one's experience with this recognition. The recognition that the entire body, sarvaṃ dehaṃ, is truly he, nothing but consciousness, nothing but awareness, cin-mayaṃ. Or for that matter, the whole world, sarvaṃ jagad. So we get a number of verses in the text like this, where a practice that starts with the body then progresses to the whole world. And this should not surprise us because, of course, in Tantric Yoga, the body is the microcosm of the whole universe or the whole world. We see both terms, right? Jagad, the world, and Vishvam, the whole universe. But it's the same either way, that the body is a microcosm of the whole world of perceived experience, or the whole universe of perceived experience, right? So it makes sense that we get several practices in the text that leap, as it were, from body to everything. And the implication here is that if you can sort of grok, experientially understand the nature of the microcosm, then you're going to experientially understand the nature of the macrocosm. And it's not really such a big leap after all. So in a minute, we'll do the actual practice here. But just looking at the second half of the verse, this realization happens through the nirvikalpa manas, through the non-conceptual mind. Okay, nirvikalpena manasā means through the non-conceptual mind. So, fortunately, the author of the text makes very clear here, this is something different from thinking the thought, everything is awareness, and then experiencing the result of believing that thought. This is actually a non-conceptual kind of seeing. This can only happen through the non-conceptual faculty of mind, which is rarely exercised. We use the mind to encounter the reality of our experience through conceptual lenses. So for most of us, this non-conceptual faculty of perception is a muscle that's not very well exercised. And that's exactly why it takes practice. So probably as I look at it, this adverb yugapat, all at once, immediately, directly, should probably go with the verb in the first half of the verse. One should recognize all at once the nature of the body as awareness, right? Now, that makes sense, because if it's a non-conceptual seeing, it doesn't happen by stages. It doesn't happen through sort of logically persuading yourself of this. It happens in a flash of insight. So if we take it that way, one should recognize that the whole body is nothing but awareness, or indeed the whole world. Through the non-conceptual mind, there is the supreme dawning. Now, in the translation, I put in brackets of liberation, but actually I'm going to change that to of insight, because I don't think the verse is saying here that simply seeing the body as awareness once is, enough to liberate you, right? Because that mode of perception has to be stabilized, it takes quite a bit of practice for it to become stabilized as your default state, right? So I think it's wrong to put as I did of liberation. Why did I do that? Because this phrase paramodayaḥ often does mean something like supreme liberation. It's used in that way. And let's see, the other translators translate supreme awakening for paramodayaḥ, supreme consciousness, and supreme awakening, right? But I think in the context, the supreme dawning, literally, udaya, this sort of dawning or opening or rising of insight, and it only becomes supreme awakening if it's actually stabilized and becomes one's default state, one's default mode of perception. Okay. So one of the comments in the chat window says, outside is divine just as the inside. Body isn't just a cover separate from the inside. Right, absolutely. We've progressed beyond that at this point in the text, right? And at some earlier point in the text, we were doing this contemplation of like the skin is like a wall enclosing nothing but emptiness. And now we're ready to, as it were, start dissolving that mind-created barrier or difference, right? Because if you actually look at conscious experience, there isn't really an inside and an outside, right? Because the sensation of having a body is a vibration within consciousness. It is an aspect of the field of consciousness, no more and no less than the sounds in your environment, the colors that you perceive, and so on. So only when we have installed this kind of mental construct of inside and outside does it seem real. If even for a moment you can dissolve that mental construct, you see, oh, there's vibrations within the field of awareness. All phenomena are just vibrations within a single field of awareness. And yes, it seems as if some are sort of more proximate to the center point of awareness from your point of view. And whatever's proximate to the center point of awareness is what you tend to identify with. this body is proximate to the center point of awareness from my point of view, so I tend to identify with it, right? It's a natural sort of thing to do, even though it's not ultimately true. Another comment says, in Buddhist Tantra, they speak of at first initially building up a contemplation or visualization, and then eventually doing the same sort of all at once in advanced stages, right? So should we see this as an advanced practice? Well, not necessarily, because for some people, this comes just very easily and naturally. And I think it's the sort of practice that just either clicks or it doesn't. Okay, so let's chant the verse again and then do the practice. Sarvaṃ dehaṃ cin-mayaṃ hi jagad paribhāvayet yugapan nirvikalpena manasā paramodayaḥ. So just take a few deep breaths. And let the jaw relax. And become aware of the whole body simultaneously. So you're not scanning the body part by part, you're actually going into soft focus a bit and feeling the whole body simultaneously. And let yourself feel that the whole body is enveloped in awareness, permeated by awareness. And then you just notice very naturally that the body is a sensation within awareness. What we call body is nothing but a sensation within awareness. There's nothing to think about or understand here. You're just being intimately present with the whole body as a sensation within awareness. You're simply being with the feeling or vibration called body prior to any thought about it. Just intimate with the pure sensation of embodiment. And then when you feel ready to expand the field of awareness, just let it naturally expand. And let your eyes open and you become aware of your total environment, auditory, visual, and so on. Can you experience your total environment as the next level, as it were, of your embodiment, your next level body? very naturally, all at once, without thinking about it. You could simply perceive that everything is an expression of what you are, of what we are. All the sounds you hear, including the sound of my voice, is a vibration within your awareness, vibration of your awareness. There are no static objects around you, just vibrations of light and sound. All that is perceptible is the body. Om. Now, as the meditation comes to an end in a formal sense, it actually doesn't have to end. In fact, I invite you to not return to your habitual mode of perception, subject, object, me versus you. No need to go there. Right now, you can maintain this holistic, unbroken awareness, whereby the sound of my voice is just a vibration of your own consciousness. The image you see before you, just a vibration of your own consciousness, just like everything else. And if you want to transition out of that mode of perceiving, just do so very gradually. We want to avoid sudden transitions if possible on this path. So in that meditation, which, as you might have noticed, that's one that I feel, for me, it's easy to do it for quite some time, or natural to do it for quite some time. And there's no doing, actually. It's just more like relaxing into true seeing. So one way to know if the practice is how do I want to say this? You have an initial mastery of this practice if you can just enjoy being absorbed in the somatic awareness, the awareness of body, right? If you can actually relax into and fully become absorbed in the awareness of the whole body, where the feeling of having a body, which is again just actually a vibration within consciousness, is itself totally absorbing, that indicates an initial mastery of this practice. And then you want to open out to this possibility of perceiving everything as your next level body, right? You don't need to think in terms of levels. That's just a way of talking. Drishyam Shariram, the Shiva Sutras say, which means all that is perceptible is the body. All that is perceptible is the body. Right? But my point here is that you don't need to try, well, you don't need to try ever, but you don't need to turn towards perceiving the whole world as consciousness until you're stabilized in this experience of perceiving the body as consciousness, right? Body totally permeated with awareness. And you're realizing the body as a vibration of awareness. So only when that experience is stabilized, that recognition, that experiential recognition is stabilized, right? Then you would open out to seeing everything as the same awareness. Everything is a vibration of the same awareness, of your awareness, right? So again, this beautiful verb, paribhāvayet, one may recognize, but also one may saturate, right? Recognize that the body is saturated, permeated with awareness, and so is everything. Jagad, so is the whole world, the whole planet, right? So somebody in the chat window asks, if the body is vibration, does a body exist? Yes, as vibration. It's the only way that anything exists. So, following the cue of the author of the text, we don't need to talk about this philosophically. He or she says, this perception happens through non-conceptual mind. You simply perceive things this way or you don't. And if you don't, you will. It's simply a matter of opening to the possibility of perceiving in this way. It's very, very important that you don't try to force this, that you don't try to make yourself see in this way. That could only be the conceptual mind trying to make something happen. So I like to use the phrase, simply open to the possibility of perceiving in this way. And indeed, relax into that possibility. And then it happens. Let's chant the verse one more time to close. Why not? It's such a powerful, important, for me, absolutely pivotal, key verse, maybe for you too. Sarvaṃ dehaṃ cin-mayaṃ hi jagad paribhāvayet yugapan nirvikalpena manasā paramodayaḥ. One should recognize that one's entire body or indeed the whole world, consists of awareness. Through the non-conceptual mind, directly seeing this truth all at once, there comes the supreme dawning of insight. Om.